What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, Survivor Season 49, Episode 2 is here. Episode 1 last week saw Nicole going home, unfortunately, in a rough start for the Blue Tribe as well, losing every challenge or opportunity to get their tribe supplies that has come about so far in Episode 1 this season. We'll see if anything changes here in Episode 2, but before we do jump into the recap, if you could, just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We'll have more Survivor content on the channel throughout the season. We do recaps of every single episode after every single episode, so just make sure you subscribe so you do not miss a video. So let's just jump right in to episode 2. So Sophie at the Blue Tribe said that last night was a success, mostly because it was about keeping the tribe strong. But as she said, we still have Annie, who was the other option to go home at the first tribal. Really struggled so far, losing every challenge, as we mentioned at the top here. Jeremiah does start digging and find some earthworms to change it up from just having coconuts so far, because they have not had any advantage to get food. It has just been coconuts so far. No fishing gear, no luck with anything, no food to, or no fire to cook any food or nothing. So earthworms will do for now. But Annie says to Sophie that taking Jake to the merge would be a mistake. She starts passing this message around essentially, and also says she doesn't really care if they go to tribal again. She said, just want to keep this thing moving. We'll see if her not caring if they go to tribal really holds true. But, as we know, Sophie and Jake are kind of each other's number 1A, 1B, if you will, on Jake's side, because he is also really close with Alex at this point. But Annie's number 1 ally, Alex, doesn't think Sophie would really vote for her number 1 in Jake, who obviously, as we just said, Alex is also, 1A, 1B with Jake as well. But over at the Red Tribe, they find a crab, so that's definitely something different that they can have for some food. But before they boil the crab, Shannon wants to honor the crab. And Nate says that he's uncomfortable a lot on this tribe, being the older one on the tribe, trying to learn some new terms and how to use the words like vibe, fire, cinema, aura, and Riz. Nate and Rizzo feel good with Shannon and Savannah, as well as a nice 4, a part of the Red Tribe there. Over at the Yellow Tribe, the vibes are pretty good. They got fire, they got tribe supplies. Steven, Matt, and Christina all feel good vibes with each other and want to work with each other. Matt mentions bringing in MC as well. Matt words it kind of poorly, though, when bringing this up to MC, and basically says that they already had a 3 and we're looking for a 4th. So then MC's like, so I'm like, kind of just, you're getting brought in. How long have you had this thing going on? And MC said that she has had her suspicions about Matt, and she tells Sophie that her name got brought up as someone to possibly go home if they do have to go to tribal council. That was brought up by Christina, I believe, when they were all 4 talking together. But over at the Blue Tribe, Annie seems to be ruffling some feathers, with her feeling like she's controlling the game. Jeremiah wants her ego to continue to grow to make it a better blind side. Sophie tells Jake that Annie wants her to go home. But now Miss Annie will have to be on the lookout for the Shoe Bandit, as Jake, the Shoe Bandit, is after one of Annie's shoes. Takes him a while to find it, but does finally find out which shoes are hers and hides one of her shoes. So over at the Red Tribe, the 4 of that have kind of solidified themselves together so far at this early part of the game, talking about either Sage or Jawan to be the move if they have to go to tribal council. They know Jawan has been looking and see him looking with a bag on his back that he's shoving sticks in as well. I believe they said his shirt was in there as well. But supposedly, it seems like on accident, he used Savannah's bag, and he was shoveling, sticks and, dirt and whatnot else got in there. So definitely a possibility that some ants or other bugs might have got in there. And, well, yes, it is Survivor, but Savannah apparently severely hates bugs and all that stuff. So now that's possibly in her bag. Savannah does her best, keeps her cool, even though she's losing it in her mind. But a boat shows up to camp where one person must get on and go. So one person from each tribe heads on a journey. It's Matt from the Yellow Tribe, Jake from the Blue Tribe, and Jawan from the Red Tribe. The challenge is throwing coconuts into hanging buckets, and you have to throw the coconuts into other people's hanging buckets. And then you have to get the other people's buckets to drop before yours drops. The 2 losing players, they actually don't lose anything. Don't lose their vote. I like that. Too many people losing their vote. I'm not a fan for like challenge or advantages being everywhere and all these twists and turns. I'm not a fan of like every part of the game having something. But definitely, I think this of taking the risk out of losing your vote, I definitely think this is a new wrinkle that they brought in that I really do like. Talk more about that in a second. But Matt and Jake's fall, so Jawan wins. So basically, Jawan's choice then, after the two individuals who lost in Matt, and Jake, they head back to camp, and now Jawan has a choice to either help yourself, which is steal one of the two losing contestants' votes, and you have an extra vote then, or you can choose to help your tribe by basically granting a disadvantage against one of the other tribes at the next immunity challenge. Now, I like this. If you have the three people going on the journey or whatever, doing a vote is not at risk unless the person who wins decides to take a vote. I kind of like that, not just immediately taking away someone's vote if they lose the challenge on the journey that you go to. I like this kind of like an option. And then also too, like if this starts being a thing, it's like, are you going to help your tribe? Are you going to help yourself? I think it also determines obviously on the individual, but also where we're at in the game. If we have a challenge in a couple weeks where we're maybe on the verge of getting to the merge, I think that decision is a little bit different. You're going to want to put yourself in a better spot, but then also the social politics of that too. If people are, because everyone was honest when they went back to the camp. We'll get to that next part here in a second, but everyone was honest when they went back to camp. So if this continues throughout the season, will people know that? And if there's no disadvantage played at the next, challenge, immunity challenge or whatever, then we'll know like, oh, hey, that person was selfish and then, took a vote. Or obviously if the person whose vote gets taken then, is like, oh, this person, has this extra advantage, then they can use that to monopolize against the person who got the extra vote. So definitely a lot of stuff to consider here with this, but I definitely like that new wrinkle. I definitely think that's a new good add and change up to, the in-season or the journeys, in between everything here. Everyone's back at camp, as I said. Everyone told everyone everything, didn't keep anything out. Jawan actually did the tribe disadvantage. And as Savannah said, Jawan was very close to be going home, but he might have earned himself several more days depending on this tribe disadvantage. But over at the blue tribe, beginning to question how the shoes keep disappearing. So the shoe bandit Jake is keeping everyone on their toes, but Alex and Jake are kind of out looking around, possibly for an idol, beware advantage, whatever. Alex and Jake do find the beware advantage, but they have to wait until the tribe loses in order to find the idol. And we head to the immunity challenge, and it is a big one. Getting a first look at it, the winner gets fishing gear. Second tribe to finish gets a smaller fishing gear, but still will suffice. Jawan gives Jeff the disadvantage, and they assign it to yellow. Essentially, the disadvantage is every person will run the challenge with 20 pounds of coconuts on their back, and instead of one key to unlock the rope, kind of at the second to last stage or third to last stage of this challenge, they will have 10 keys that they have to work through to get through that lock. Assigning it to yellow, and essentially Jawan says, like, blue, I think at this point, they're 0 for 4 in challenges, as we said. Already went to tribal council, and he's like, they've already been through a lot. Don't want to do that to them, so we're going to give it to yellow. Sophie doesn't buy it, though, says that she believes it's a shot at yellow, not just doing blue a favor. Sage and Christina will be the sit-outs for this one. Blue gets to the puzzle first, so taking advantage of not having the disadvantage put on them, but red and yellow get there and immediately start making progress. And Jeff says he's putting this one in the deep freezer because as blue literally had no pieces going to the end, had made no progress essentially. Yellow gets first, the giant fishing gear kit, and red right behind them with a smaller fishing kit. So the disadvantage had little to no effect as yellow ends up coming in first and winning the whole thing here in this challenge. And blue blew an incredible lead. So blue going back to tribal council tonight, and back at the blue tribe, the camp 0 for 5. They're very fatigued, and something has to change. Annie wants to do Jake, but knows they have to eat. They have to win challenges, and said that Sophie was the weakest one in this challenge. They all play in with Annie's plan, but Jake said he's not writing Sophie's name down. So Alex has no vote right now. Him and Jake go to tree mail to dig. That's what the note said when they found the beware advantage after they lose a challenge. Go to tree mail and dig. They bring in Sophie as well. They find the chain. It's essentially a ball and chain. The key's attached to a ball and chain, and then they have to go find the other box that they got a map for. Sophie finds the box, but she kind of keeps it hidden because she's trying to find a way to possibly get the ball and chain and try to get it for herself so Alex doesn't get it, because she knows that she's Jake's number one, but knows that also Jake and Alex are each other's number one. So it's a weird kind of triangle type of thing. Jake even said at one point during this episode, like, Sophie's my number one. Alex is my number one too. I can't choose. So Sophie sees that, and she even said, like, a little bit jealous at times, like she wants to just be Jake's number one. And I'm sure Alex feels the same way, even though he said about wanting to work with Annie. Too, Alex probably feels the same way on the other side. So definitely seeing the writing on the wall here and understanding why Sophie wants to get that just for herself and be in control. But Jeremiah comes around and they have to bring him in as well. Eventually, Alex finds the box and he has the idol. Jeremiah doesn't trust the group, though, because as he said, he's always the last to be included. Alex brings in Annie to make a big move, and as we saw last episode, Alex did want to bring in Annie and wanted to work with her. So we'll see, and he even mentioned about they want to take out Sophie, essentially Annie's plan, or what Annie mentioned at the beginning that everyone was kind of just going along with, but Alex essentially saying like he's not afraid to, use the idol or make a big play or however he worded it before going to tribal council. So I think it's a little too early for that, but understand if he thinks Annie is his number one or someone that he wants to work with and really wants to get Sophie out, then it could be a good play for him. And obviously the main reason of that being how close that Jake and Sophie are. So we head to tribal council, and you can definitely tell that the tribe is struggling with the no food, having being 0 for 5 in challenges, advantages, at this point to kind of win anything or any advantage to get fired, to be able to cook food or anything. But Jeff does bring up the track record of, tribes that start bad, like how they have started bad to this season, that the ones that do kind of make it through and stick around, they do have a good track record going forward and getting further in this game. But Annie ends up going home. Alex didn't make the move. He said he had no choice to her as she was walking out. Yes, he could have played the idol, but as we said, it's kind of early to make that big a move. And then I feel like you also put a bigger target on your back as well. And then, Jake probably doesn't trust you then at that point. I mean, maybe you can repair that. So understanding why Alex didn't make a move there. So Annie goes home. I thought she was fairly entertaining, in these 2 episodes here. And unfortunately, just for her, the tribe just could never get its footing to continue and see more of her. Said the same thing about Nicole as well after the first episode. Just unfortunate the tribe couldn't get its feet under them, and they couldn't last a couple more episodes. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Next week, Sage and Savannah possibly coming after each other. Seems like maybe a little bit from the preview. And then a snake was wrapped around Jake's leg, apparently, while he was sitting by the water. It looked like we kind of put together from the clips. Alex said that he was worried about him, so interested to see kind of what happens there. Hopefully everything is okay there, but yeah. That'll essentially do it for this episode. As we said, we will be back for a recap next week after the episode. But yeah, 2 episodes in. I think we're off to a solid start to this season and excited to see what happens next. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.